When the kidnapper charged forward with a knife, Gina probably thought I'd do what I did in my past life, throw myself in front of her to take the hit. She held her sweetheart Alex calmly, whispering words of comfort, until the blade pushed into her chest, sending waves of pain. Only then did Gina look up at me in disbelief from where she lay. I stood there, unmoving, meeting Gina's eyes with a cold stare. Then I smirked at her. Does it hurt? Probably, but compared to the pain I went through in my past life, this is nothing. Gina, we've got all the time in the world to settle this. I found myself reliving that day, the day when my famous actress wife Gina let her first love, Alex, move into our home. In my previous life, that day, I came home to find Alex, the uninvited guest there. He held Gina, saying, "Gina, I had no choice back then. If I hadn't left you, my dad would have cut off Mom's medicine payments. I had to do it for her. Not a day went by in those 5 years when I didn't think of you." Gina gently wiped away Alex's tears, looking at him with a tenderness and focus I'd never seen before. The moment cracked something inside me. Finally, they noticed me standing at the door, eyes red from crying and pouring their hearts out to each other. In a panic, Gina tried to explain. She said Alex was her childhood friend and his parents had helped her a lot. She said Alex had fallen on hard times, lost his job, and had health problems. Out of old friendship, she had to help him. Gina wasn't asking me. She was telling me. Alex needed rest. She gave up our sun-soaked main bedroom for him. She doted on Alex, cooking him nutritious meals herself and risking being photographed by paparazzi by personally accompanying him to hospital checkups. After the photos of them at the hospital surfaced, Gina announced publicly that Alex was her lover to protect his reputation. Alex became Gina's lover, so what did that make me, her husband on paper? Gina easily distanced herself from me with a few words, claiming to others that we were just friends working together. Internally, she brainwashed me, promising that I was the only one she loved, that she was just helping Alex out of pity. Once Alex recovered, she'd stop caring for him. But Alex wasn't as innocent as he seemed. He'd deliberately gloat about his relationship with Gina in front of me, then scheme against me behind her back. After Alex framed me, causing an incident for which Gina blamed me entirely, she sided with Alex. Gina decided I needed to be out of the way to keep Alex happy, shipping me off to live in a distant, remote town against my protests. In my past life, I thought of Gina as my whole world, fearing divorce and abandonment. I left, hoping she'd come for me. I waited, and even after saving Gina and being left handicapped, spending the rest of my life in a hospital, she never publicly acknowledged our marriage. Gina visited sometimes, sneakily at first, but eventually, she made excuses about being too busy and stopped coming altogether. I was so foolish back then, clinging to the fantasy that Gina had a reason for everything, that she cared for me. My deluded love kept me holding on. I always thought I'd somehow heal and find my place next to Gina again, until I saw Gina and Alex on TV, with their child attending an event. Until Alex visited, standing over my hospital bed, looking down at me with disdain. "Oliver, why aren't you dead yet? 5 years of living like this. Isn't it enough? Don't you know Gina wants you gone? You'd only make us happy by dying." Alex claimed he and Gina were a couple, and he only left because she had nothing then. He never imagined Gina becoming a renowned actress, nor that the heiress he chose would go bankrupt. He'd come back to win Gina's heart again. Alex admitted he orchestrated the rumors and that he manipulated Gina into losing hope in me, even that the kidnapping that paralyzed me was his doing. He only wanted to frame me, never imagined I'd risk my life for Gina. Alex shamelessly flaunted his life with Gina before me. During those times when I wasn't yet disabled, they had become intimate, kissing passionately. Gina cradled Alex, whispering sweetly, "Alex, you're the one I've loved. For years, you've been on my mind, but Oliver has done so much for me. I can't abandon him now. Wait a little longer. Oliver won't live much longer, and then we can marry openly." I couldn't believe Gina's cruelty, and the shock extinguished my spirit. Just when I thought it was over, I woke up again. In a hospital examination room, I touched my own face, reassuring myself it wasn't a dream. Everything could start anew. This time, I'd live for myself. After thinking it through, I returned to the examination room and asked the doctor for a favor. Half an hour later, while lying in a hospital bed getting an 4, my phone rang. It was Gina. Wasn't she busy comforting Alex? Why was she calling me? I ignored Gina, letting the phone ring. A few minutes later, Gina texted, "Where are you? Come back quickly. I have something important to tell you." Something important was surely about Alex. I got no interest in hearing her lies all over again. I put my phone on silent and stayed in the hospital for 5 hours. It was 11 p.m. when I finally left the hospital room. The hospital at night was super quiet. As I walked, I checked the messages on my phone. While my phone was on silent for those few hours, Gina called me 80 times and sent about 40 to 50 messages. We dated for 5 years and have been married for 3. I used to always reply immediately, never left her hanging like this. This sudden change must have made Gina really anxious. I slowly walked out of the hospital building and across the parking lot, hearing a car door opening and then quick footsteps. Someone grabbed my arm, and a stern voice said, "Oliver, why didn't you answer my calls or messages? Do you know how worried I was?" I turned to see Gina in her mask and hat. The pain and despair before death made me want to rip off her mask and sunglasses and slap her face. Just smack her until she looked like a swollen pig. But I held back. It's not the right time yet. I have bigger things to take care of. I pretended to trip, but I skillfully hooked my foot around Gina's leg. She was so focused on questioning me, she didn't see it coming and fell forward. I quickly pulled back my foot. Gina face planted hard. While she was down, I followed suit, pretending to fall too. Her cries of pain were obvious. I scrambled to my feet, acted all worried, and pulled off her mask and sunglasses. "Are you okay? It's all my fault. I'm sick, and the doctor made me stay for a detailed check and treatment. I didn't mean to ignore your calls and messages. My phone died." As I babbled apologies, I reached to help her up, intentionally stepping on her hand a few times. Her face turned purple from the pain, and she yelled, "Oliver, what the hell? Hurry and help me put my glasses and mask back. You want paparazzi to catch this." I helped Gina up and into the car. As we drove off, she kept complaining, but I just kept apologizing, eyes glued to the rearview mirror. I saw a figure pick up the medical report I purposefully left on the road, finally feeling relieved. When we got home with Gina, Alex came out to greet us. "Gina, you're finally back." I coldly watched the scene. "Who is he? Why's he here?" As soon as I said that, Gina quickly pulled away from Alex. "Oliver, this is my neighbor's little brother, Alex." Then turning to Alex, "This is Oliver, my husband." Alex looked unhappy being pulled away, fixing a sharp gaze at me. "When did you get married, Gina? How come I didn't know? We've been married for 3 years. We haven't announced it for reasons," Gina said, trying to appease me. "Alex doesn't have a place to go right now. He needs to stay with us temporarily, so I'll need you to help look after him." She said the same thing in our previous life, and I agreed without hesitation. But this time I refused. "I'm not well. The doctor says I need rest, so I can't take care of someone unrelated." Gina didn't take my refusal well, and Alex teared up immediately. "I knew I'd be a bother. I shouldn't have come here, Gina. I'm leaving now." He pretended to leave, but after a couple of steps, he fell softly to the ground. Gina panicked and quickly sat down with him, calling a driver to take them to the hospital. This was Alex's usual trick in a past life. I thought he was genuinely sick and was always cautious around him. Now knowing he fakes it, I wasn't sympathetic. If he wants to pass out, I'll show him what that means. I stomped on his hand hard, watching Alex's expression twist in agony. Despite the pain, he stayed in character, pretending to be unconscious. I released his hand and pinched his philtrum until it bruised, yet he still acted out cold. Gina was genuinely worried, yelling at me, "Why keep pinching? Call 911. I released Alex and pretended to take out my phone, glimpsing a fruit knife on the table. A plan began forming in my head. I pretended to slip backward, kicking Gina hard in the face as I fell. She screamed, clutching her nose as blood gushed, My kick landed right on her nose. Moving swiftly, I grabbed the knife and chopped one of Alex's fingers. Blood splattered everywhere. Alex screamed and woke up. I fell heavily to the floor, clutching my body, my face pale. Ow! I'm in so much pain. What's happening to me? I yelled. All three of us were rushed to the hospital. Gina got her nose kicked out of alignment, and Alex lost a finger. While I was in the hospital, Gina never visited once. Her assistant came instead, telling me Gina needed surgery to fix her nose and couldn't see anyone yet. The assistant also told me that Alex's finger was severed and never found. Now he's missing a finger. This news made me really happy. It was just a small punishment. The real show has yet to come. I stayed in the hospital for half a month before I was discharged. Every day, I called and messaged Gina, complaining about my pain and sorrow. On the day I was discharged, Gina came to pick me up. She was all covered up with sunglasses and a mask. Once I got in the car, I started pretending to feel guilty. Gina, this is all my fault. Gina hugged me to comfort me. Oliver, everything will be okay. I laughed coldly inside but pretended to cry a bit and then asked about Gina's nose. Gina's plastic surgery went really well. Her nose looked perfect, like nothing happened. When we got home, Alex came downstairs after hearing us. His eyes were filled with hatred as he looked at me. I glanced at his missing finger and felt secretly satisfied but kept a remorseful expression, pretending to apologize. Then I clutched my body, pretending to be in pain, and Gina helped me back to the bedroom to rest. It wasn't long after I lay down that Alex came in with a glass of milk. He closed the door and walked over to my bed with venom. Oliver, did you do it on purpose? Did you intentionally cut off my finger? And you're back too, right? His words shocked me, and I quickly denied it. What? What are you talking about? What's back? Stop pretending. You weren't like this last time around. You were nice to me then, but this time you don't like me. I can see it. So, did you do it on purpose? Cut my finger on purpose? How could I ever intentionally cut your finger? You're accusing me wrongly. It was just an accident. I was so worried when you fainted. I accidentally fell, causing my unborn child's loss and injuring both you and Gina. I'm really to blame. Will you forgive me? I didn't mean to. Alex looked at me hatefully, trying to find any sign of deceit in my face, but he left disappointed. Finding out Alex was back too was a surprise, so I needed to be extra careful. However, Alex's return could help further my plans. His target was Gina, and he knew the direction. To get rid of me, Alex would surely go to extreme lengths, giving me the opportunity to have strategies ready for him. Later that night, when Gina came into the bedroom, I told her, Gina, isn't Alex's condition pretty serious? Does he have some kind of persecution complex? He said such bizarre things to me today, while bringing me milk. Gina looked puzzled. What did he say? He said I hated him and that I intentionally severed his finger. I swear it wasn't on purpose. I barely know him, why would I hate him? Alex has been a bit extreme. He's got depression, and sometimes he lets his mind run wild. Before you came back, he even told me that you were out to get him. I tried talking him out of it, but now he still thinks that way. What should we do then? Will he keep thinking I'm against him? Probably. Will he make trouble for me? Gina, you know how much I love you. I can't lose you. Gina knows how much I love her. I've stayed behind the scenes for her, and even when she was unknown, I fought for roles until I got stomach bleeding from drinking. After she became a success, I never asked for anything and stayed in the background. When she wanted our marriage private, I complied, swallowing my pride while she fabricated gossip with others. Thinking of all I've done for her, Gina looked at me with some sympathy. Oliver, I will take care of you and help you get better. I acted touched and hugged her. I'll do whatever you say, but I'm worried. Worried about what? About Alex. He might really be sick. He told me you like him and can't live without him. Gina's expression changed. What else did he say to you? Pretending not to notice her reaction, I sighed. He said I'm the other person, and you two are the real couple. He said you're madly in love with him. I sighed again. Alex might really be losing it. I worry he might suddenly go off the rails. If he says anything unexpected, your career could be at risk. You've signed so many contracts. Could be messy to explain. Gina has always presented herself as single in public, which has landed her many endorsements. She wouldn't want to risk losing money over a contract breach. Compared to her future and money, Alex isn't that important. Gina took my advice. I understand what you're saying. Having Alex in our home isn't a good fit. I'll have my assistant find him a place to move out. Because of my warning, Gina had a serious talk with Alex the next morning. I tiptoed to the study's door and could clearly hear Alex's probing voice coming from inside. I won't leave. You promised me, and if I go out now, it's like walking into death. Alex, just listen. I won't move. Gina, did Oliver manipulate you into this? Is he the one who can't stand me, making you drive me away? I'm telling you, I've lived through one lifetime. I'm not lying to you. I'm certain Oliver is back, just like me. If what you're saying is true, and Oliver's back like you, why hasn't he retaliated after we wronged him in the past? He already has. Your broken nose and my missing finger are his revenge. No way. All of this is just accidental. If Oliver wanted revenge, he'd do more than just a minor inconvenience. He could ruin me by exposing my secrets, but he hasn't. Gina whispered, I've watched Oliver closely. He's in pain, feels guilty and weak. It's all because of you. If you hadn't caused trouble, my relationship with Oliver wouldn't be lost. It's all your fault. You better reflect on it, or else don't blame me. I let out a slight smirk and turned away quietly. Since they've pushed past the pretense, it makes things easier. Gina spent 2 hours talking to Alex in the study. Alex was upset the whole time, and in the end, Gina left with the excuse of filming. Only Alex and I were left at the house, no outsiders. Alex looked at me fiercely. Gina wants me to leave. Now you must be satisfied, right? I don't know what you're talking about. Gina asked you to leave for her career. Plus, isn't it awkward for a single guy, especially an ill one, to stay at someone else's place? Gina is just your sister, not your partner. She has no obligation to take care of you. Furious from my words, Alex lunged at me. I was faking being sick, intending to steal Gina away, and today, I'm framing you on purpose. As Alex cursed at me, I jumped up, dialing Gina's number on my phone to avoid him. Unaware, Alex hurled insults and chased after me. Forced to run upstairs, he followed. On the second floor, he cornered me, lunging, Die! You should die today. Watching him come for me, I cried out dramatically for help. Gina, save me. Alex has lost it. He's gone mad. He wants to kill me. After yelling, I tossed the phone aside, letting it roll far away. With a cold smile, I faced Alex, who was attacking me. Gina rushed back after getting my frantic call for help. She pushed open the villa door, shocked by the horrific scene. Alex and I lay on the ground, both covered in blood. We were both taken back to the hospital. We fell from upstairs, and I ended up with a broken arm. Alex fared worse, falling awkwardly onto a decorative vase below. Glass shards pierced through his lower body, leaving a gruesome mess. No one knew I did it deliberately. I let Alex hurl insults at me over the phone, ensuring Gina heard them all. The villa's cameras were down. The only proof was my call to Gina claiming Alex had gone crazy. As Alex charged at me, pretending panic, I ditched my phone and wrapped myself around him, dragging us off the second floor. Alex was my cushion, passing out immediately from the fall. After he was out, I viciously attacked Alex with a baseball bat. Watching the blood pool beneath him, I smashed the vase and glass, filling Alex's wounds with shards. Satisfied with my work, I smeared myself with his blood, injured my arm, and laid down next to him feigning unconsciousness. When I woke up, news about something happening at Gina's villa was everywhere. Gina was at her peak fame and such news was explosive. Social media blew up. Everyone investigated the villa incident. It was big. 2 injured guys. I'm already known since I work with Gina. But Alex, that's different. People dug into Alex being Gina's first love, exposing their school days romance. This scandal unfolded 3 months earlier than expected. In the past, Alex faked a serious illness to get Gina's attention, orchestrating a hospital photo op to manipulate her. This life and that one have different tactics but similar outcomes. Gina never foresaw this fallout. But, like last time, 3 days of non-stop trending led to a statement from Gina's agency. She admitted her connection to Alex. She said Alex was her first love, the only person she couldn't forget. So after reuniting, they got back together. She planned to announce it later but had to admit it early now. After confirming Alex's status, Gina called me. Same reasons as before. Gratitude toward Alex's family, and now Alex is both mentally and physically broken. He's fragile and can't handle distress. She must soothe him for now. Gina was sure I was devoted and wouldn't cause issues. I complied, agreeing to her wishes. Gina, I'll do as you wish. Take care of Alex. Although he tried to harm me, knowing he's unwell and not in control, I forgive him. Thrilled by my cooperation, Gina reassured me before hanging up. Gina's single image was shattered, with mixed reactions online. Her agency invested heavily in PR, promoting Gina and Alex's love story. They were painted as tragic lovers separated by life circumstances, always thinking of each other. After years apart, their love reignited upon meeting again. Their seemingly fairy tale romance captivated many, turning them into the adored couple of tragic love. Some people even wrote a script and wanted Gina to star in it. Gina's career wasn't affected by making her relationship public. Instead, she's even more in the spotlight. She signed a bunch of endorsement deals and lined up several movies and TV shows. Things were going great for Gina, and it naturally boosted Alex's profile too. Just like in a previous life, Alex went from being a nobody to becoming a celebrity, acting as Gina's on-screen partner. When their romance movie was announced, footage of Gina coming to the hospital to pick me up suddenly appeared on her phone. The paparazzi asked Gina if Alex was really her boyfriend, since she and Alex have had a deep, unforgettable love since their first romance. So what did that make me? The footage showed me and Gina having a bit of a struggle at the hospital, and the paparazzi also leaked my medical records. The headline about a popular actress abandoning her sick husband for a lover and betraying him would cause a huge scandal if it got out. This made Gina very anxious, like a cat on a hot tin roof. She knew how disastrous it could be if the video went public. She reached out to the paparazzi, offering to keep them quiet. They demanded $1 billion. Gina had made a lot of money throughout her successful career. She could afford the billion, but giving up that much cash to keep things quiet was hard to stomach. She spent days mulling it over, stressed and unable to eat or sleep properly, her eyes red from worry. What pushed Gina to the brink was the leak of our marriage certificate. When she saw our wedding certificate, she was stunned. Then she started to doubt me. Gina confronted me, scrutinizing my face before finally holding my hand and sitting down. Oliver, we kept our marriage under wraps. How did the paparazzi get this photo? Inwardly, I scoffed but showed panic on my face. How could that be possible? I said, we've never told anyone about our marriage. It wasn't me, but the paparazzi got our marriage certificate. If it wasn't me, it must have been you. I denied it frantically. It wasn't me, Gina. I have no reason to blow up our relationship. Oliver, are you jealous? Jealous of me with Alex? Gina asked. I replied, yes, I'm jealous of you and Alex, but I love you too much to ruin you like that. She seemed to believe me partially but not entirely. If it wasn't you, then who? I don't know. I really don't know, I said, ruffling my hair in frustration. Could the paparazzi have used tricks to get it from the courthouse after filming us at the hospital? That explanation made sense to Gina, and she fell silent. Gina, it's my fault. I continued. If my phone hadn't died that night and you hadn't come to find me, we wouldn't have been caught on camera. I'm the one to blame. I was trying to erase any doubts Gina had about me by taking the blame. But she wasn't easily fooled, watching me with suspicion. After so many years together, I could read her expressions like a book. So I knew she suspected me. And as long as Gina and Alex weren't completely out of the picture yet, I had to play it cool. I pretended to be emotional, shedding a few fake tears. Gina, I don't know why it's happened. It's all because of my carelessness that we got caught. I'm the one at fault. To keep the paparazzi from blackmailing you, let's get a divorce. Divorce? Gina was taken aback. I nodded tearfully. Yeah, divorce. Let's head to the courthouse and end it. That way, even if the story gets out, we can have a unified front and minimize the damage. Gina frowned, but the paparazzi wants a huge sum, aiming for money. If I can't satisfy them, it'll all come out eventually. Not only will my future be jeopardized, but I'll also face penalties for breach of contract. I've just signed a bunch of endorsements and film deals, and the potential fees are astronomical. She took out her phone to calculate, realizing the fines wouldn't be less than $1 billion. Internally, I chuckled. I was the one who sicked the paparazzi on her. When she was busy maintaining her fake relationship with Alex, I'd already worked out how much she'd have to compensate. That's why I'd suggested the $1 billion hush fee. After playing the sidekick for years, I knew Gina could pull off $1 billion. If she paid off the paparazzi, it would end up in my pockets. I'd get the money first and then make Gina pay even more. If she wasn't willing to pay the paparazzi, I had another plan to make her willingly hand over the cash. I pretended to wipe away non-existent tears. So what now? If you agree to the paparazzi, you'll shell out $1 billion. If not, there are still the breach fees. Either way, we're out a huge sum. Isn't there a third way? Gina was deep in thought. I knew she was doing some mental math. After hustling so long in showbiz, she'd heard of stars stashing away funds. I figured she'd think of a way to shift her assets. With both of Gina's parents gone, as her husband, I was her only close family, apart from the Alex guy she couldn't let go of. I was betting she wouldn't trust Alex with her assets, given that he'd abandoned her before. Handing your wealth to someone who ditched you isn't wise. I was the logical choice. Having loved her, stayed in the shadows for her, I'd do anything for her. After a long pause, Gina spoke up. All right, I could transfer my assets to you. If things blow up, you take the money abroad. I'll follow soon after. This is the best plan Gina could come up with. Divorce with all the money going to my ex-husband. I loved her so much, I'd never betray her. And if she ever lost her status and was left penniless, she could come to me. The bait was set and Gina finalized the divorce terms with me. She left with nothing and all the assets fell to me. We signed the divorce papers that night and went to the civil affairs office the next day to finalize the divorce. Everything under Gina's name went to me, and she continued to live in the villa that was now under my name. The paparazzi were still waiting for Gina to pay up to hush them. She vaguely promised them a date, a month away. During that month, she stopped endorsing products and didn't sign up for new projects. She just did quick money deals with Alex, and wherever they went, they drew attention. We made quite a bit of money in that month, and the cooling-off period for our divorce passed quietly. We went back to the civil affairs office without a sound and got the divorce certificate. When I held that divorce certificate, I felt a huge relief. I knew I had truly won. From now on, the hunt began. I was going to ensure Gina and Alex paid dearly. But before I could make a move, Alex was already getting restless. He wanted to be famous like in his past life. Seeing Gina just taking him along to earn money without any plans to act really got to Alex. He brought up acting to Gina, but Gina, with her secrets, turned him down. Upset, Alex argued with Gina, and she, already irritated, didn't hold back on him. Alex got really angry and pulled his usual fainting act. Seeing Alex passed out, Gina panicked and drove him to the hospital. But halfway there, a speeding truck crashed right into them. Gina, trying to protect Alex, ended up severely injured and unconscious, rushed to the ER. The doctors said her injuries were so severe that she might never wake up. Alex also lay there with multiple fractures, barely hanging on. When I heard the news, Gina's assistant and I rushed to the hospital. Standing outside the operating room, I couldn't help but think, Gina is really lucky. If she died right now, it'd be too easy. What would be the point of my revenge then? No, Gina doesn't get off that easy. I hoped they'd save her, crippled perhaps, but alive to suffer through life. Gina was in surgery for over 10 hours, with 4 critical notices announced during that time. I got fed up waiting and left the hospital. The next morning, Gina's assistant called me. "Oliver, Gina is awake. She's asking for you." It was almost a medical miracle when Gina woke up. Doctors had said, given her condition, she'd be bedridden for a year and a half even if she woke. Yet, Gina not only woke up but was ready to see people the next day. As I went to see Gina, I couldn't shake this weird feeling. When I got to her room, I tiptoed to the door and heard a voice I hated inside. Alex was choking up. "Gina, it's amazing you're awake. I never imagined we'd get a second chance like this. Even the heavens are helping us to be together." Gina's voice was unchanged from before. "Where's Oliver? He left last night. You were teetering between life and death, and he didn't stay by your side. Oliver is so malicious. I suspect it was Oliver who orchestrated your car accident." "How can that be? He loved me so much. He wouldn't possibly do that to me." "Why not? You came back, didn't you? If so, you should remember what we did to Oliver in our past life. We left him disabled in a nursing home to fend for himself. If we can come back, Oliver surely can too. And if he did, he would hate us deeply and want to get rid of us. Wouldn't he?" Gina gasped. "If that's the case, that's terrible. Why? I divorced Oliver and all my assets went to him. If he has also been reborn like us, he'll be coming after me soon, won't he?" "You fool. Gina, how could you be so foolish?" Upon hearing Gina had given her assets to me, Alex was filled with despair. What to do now? What should Gina do? "There's only one way," Gina's voice cold as ice. "I'll test Oliver to see if he came back. If he did, we're in trouble. If not, we can proceed like last time." I didn't listen any further. I turned and left. In the past life, I always thought only Alex schemed against me, and Gina was in the dark. But to my surprise, in this life, Gina was openly scheming against me as well. These deceitful people, they'd get what they deserve. I wouldn't let them get away. They'd die without a place to be buried. Returning to Gina's hospital room, I brought a pot of homemade broth. My eyes, swollen from rubbing them with onion water, looked like buns. When I saw Gina, I started crying. She hugged me, crying too. We were both acting, testing each other with every move. Gina pushed me to sign a transfer agreement in her favor. I agreed without hesitation, calling my lawyer over immediately. Seeing no rejection from me, guilt flashed in Gina's eyes. In front of the lawyer and Gina, I signed a property transfer agreement. If anything happened to me, all my assets would go to Gina. The agreement was in triplicate. Gina seemed relieved after getting my signed agreement. She didn't stay in the hospital long, insisting on leaving after 3 days. I acted innocent, taking her back home. On the 4th day after returning home, both Alex and I were kidnapped. The kidnappers took Alex and me to an abandoned warehouse on a remote mountain, demanding $1 billion in ransom. Gina came up the mountain with the ransom to rescue us, exactly like it happened in the past life. After handing over the ransom, the kidnappers acted just as they did before. They decided to kill. With a sinister grin, a kidnapper lunged at us with a sharp knife. I saw it all clearly, while Gina, holding Alex, calmly tried to comfort him. She expected me to save her and take the blow like I did before. Unfortunately for her, I wasn't about to do that. It wasn't until the knife pierced Gina's abdomen, leaving a huge wound, that she turned to look at me. I stood quietly, not far from her, watching as Gina's blood sprayed everywhere. Her scream from the pain echoed as Alex, covered in blood, pushed her and tried to escape. I watched as the kidnapper grabbed Alex, stabbing the knife into his eye. When the kidnapper pulled the knife out, Alex's eyeball was stuck on the tip. I saw Gina on the ground, holding her stomach, unable to stop the blood pouring from the large wound. The kidnapper continued to slash at them both. They ended up with their tendons severed, but then we heard the sirens. The kidnappers fled and I dropped to the ground. Gina and Alex ended up permanently disabled. The police discovered their plot to have me killed. The sensational news of Gina's affair with Alex and their plan to kill her first husband made headlines everywhere. Not only were they crippled, but they also faced imprisonment. 3 months later, I visited Gina in prison. She was slumped in a wheelchair, staring blankly out the barred window, noticing my arrival. Gina tried to move, but it was futile. The kidnappers had severed her tendons. She wouldn't be able to move her hands or legs ever again. I looked at her with a smile. Gina, long time no see. You orchestrated all this. I have no idea what you mean, I replied. Weren't the kidnappers hired by you and Alex? You treacherous husband. Gina was almost provoked to jump out of her wheelchair if she could. Smiling, I continued, compared to you guys, I'm nowhere near as ruthless. I've been waiting for an opportunity, and you just handed it to me. I only added 50 million to your assassin's fee, and I'm quite satisfied with the results. Her voice cracked with a rough curse, but I wasn't swayed. This is just the beginning. I talked to some lawyers. They said someone in your condition can't be incarcerated. I've forgiven you and won't press charges. I've even found a care facility willing to take you and Alex in. Hope you enjoy the rest of your life there. After all, I went out of my way to find a place with the best hires for Gina and Alex to live out their days. They would have to endure life in a damp, dark place, being cursed and beaten, living off moldy food like rats in the gutter. Meanwhile, I would travel the world with my billions, maybe find 10 or so gorgeous women to keep life interesting. From this point on, Gina, Alex, and I lived in entirely opposite worlds. Just as they once forced me into a life of suffering, they'd now endure a similar fate while I revel in my newfound freedom and wealth. I'll make sure to enjoy my life while watching them slowly succumb to their misery.